Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Morgan, and for today's video I thought I could do like a kind of SFX makeup like basic video. So like I'm just gonna do a couple of like small looks, but all like quite easy ones for people who are like just trying to get into it. Things that I did a lot when I was first trying to get into it. So I'm not a fully qualified makeup artist. I've not been trained in like special effects makeup. I do enjoy doing it, and I think I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from like YouTubers like Glam and Gore, even some other kind of beauty based YouTubers like James Charles and like even James Genevieve and things. But I thought I would do some like basics all in one video so you don't need to look up loads. So to get started, I'm just going to show you like things that I feel like you need, four kind of basic ones, things that I always kind of think back to. So the first one is liquid latex. So I have the Smiffy's one, which I think is really good. I think the Ben Nye one's meant to be really good as well, but I got this, I actually think I got this when this was on sale. It must have been, I think it was like a week after Halloween. So it was cheaper. But if you get like a big bottle, it means you won't go through it as quickly. And I don't do like special effects looks all the time. So this is like the perfect size. It's bigger than my hand anyway. But yeah. The next thing I've got is fake blood. So this is like kind of like, this is like runny and stuff. I don't even know where this is from. I can't remember. But it's like 500 mils of fake blood. But it's quite good. It's like good quality and stuff. I just can't remember where it's from. Another thing is water activated paints. So I have 6, but the kind of basic ones you would need would be like white and black. And I also have red and yellow, and I would like blue to have like all the primary colours. But I remember when I bought them they didn't have blue because I bought them at uni. So I am gonna need to get it. I just don't have it right now. But I have green and orange anyway. It's nice to have like a kind of selection, but you'd probably be fine with just like the primary colours and black and white. Another one is just loose translucent powder. Obviously most people have that in their makeup kits anyway. They're just really handy to have for this, to set like things like liquid latex if you're using more activated paints to set your paints and stuff. So yeah. Another one that I've got is Scab Blood. This blood isn't actually great, and I want the Ben Nye one, or I think it's the Krylon one, but there is a better one out there, but I've just got this Smiffy's one. It is fine, and like the texture of it's fine. I feel like it's hard for it to like stick to where you want it to go. Another one is like a kind of cream paint palette. So just like this one, I've got the Revolution Special Effects one, the Revolution Pro one, but any would do. One thing I actually find really handy as well is a cream contour and concealer, cream contour palette with light and dark shades, because it's like you can start to shade things in that. And sometimes you don't, if you're wanting to do it to like your skin tone, you don't always get the right skin tone in this like cream palette. So another one is a big colourful palette with as many colours as you can find. So this one I'm going to be using today is the James Charles and Morphe one, the Artistry palette. But any kind of palette with like a ton of colours is always going to help, because you can get like colours for like kind of redness, and if you're doing something that's maybe like a bruise, or that blues and greens and yellows, and that always helps well. Another one is lash glue. So for things like scars, and that lash glue does help if you don't have, I don't know how to say it, I'm going to need to Google it. So if you don't have rigid collodion, I think that's how you say it, it's like, what you do with rigid collodion is you like put it on your skin and it starts to like tighten it up, so it looks, it like kind of indents it so it looks like a scar, which I actually do need to get, and it's not that expensive. So I like thinking, but if you don't have that, or if you don't really do special effects makeup often, it might go like off, like out of date or anything. Lash glue is a kind of cheap alternative to that. Another one that I think is handy because it kind of elevates like almost all looks is blood capsules. So you just chew them and it looks like you've got blood all around your mouth and stuff, and you can like spit it out and it looks really cool. So these are amazing. Another one, like a kind of basic things as well, as like paintbrushes. This is just a wee one I've got just now. Paintbrushes help, especially if you don't want to ruin your makeup brushes now, but you can get like cheap nail brushes, cheap paintbrushes from like any kind of shop, like a Claire's for nail brushes or like Asda's and Tesco's for paintbrushes. Spatulas help, so this is one that I actually use for art and I used it a lot with uni, but things like this help as well. A metal one might be better, but I don't have metal ones, so this will need to do. And any kind of like beauty sponge. So I would encourage for you to use the kind of triangle ones, especially if you're like using liquid latex, because it's easier for you to place where you're putting everything. But I don't currently have any of them because I tend to get them out of Primark, because you can get like a whole bag for like £1, if that. So I'm gonna need to use a really old Real Techniques beauty sponge. I'm gonna need to ruin it, which I'm not too chuffed about, but it is old. But I think that's it. So I'm just gonna get started with a look. Other basics you'll need, but you'll probably already have them, is like things like foundation and concealer, primer and that, and like, you know, the basics. But yeah. So for the first look, I'm gonna do like a kind of peeled skin thing. So I'm not actually going to use my old sponge because I don't want to ruin it in case I need it. So I found an old paintbrush that I don't really mind ruining. So I've just dipped my paintbrush into this little tub of liquid latex, and I'm just going to kind of paint where I'm wanting to lay down some toilet paper or tissue paper. So I'm trying not to touch kind of where my hair is, because it's a bit of a nightmare to get off. And then just lay that down. So I'm just going to tear off kind of the excess as well. And then once that's down nicely, I'm just going to paint over it. Again, I'm trying my best not to catch my hair, but like if you do, it's not the end of the world, it's just not the best to take off. So the bits at the top that I'm painting as well, I'm trying to keep them up a little bit just so I can pull them down. So I'm going to tear another bit of toilet roll, a similar shape. So this one that I've got is maybe a wee bit too wee, but I'm just going to lay that on top as well and do the same and just paint, oops, and just kind of spread some of the latex on top of that. And I'm just going to repeat this until I've got the kind of like, like thickness that I'm wanting, so like I'll be able to tear it off. So for some things cotton pads are maybe a bit better, but I think for this one the kind of tissue paper will work better because I'll be able to get kind of bigger sections of it and I can just build them up. So when it starts to get like that, I'm just gonna use my spatula to kind of blend out the edges a little bit. I probably shouldn't have done this so close to my eyebrow, but we live and learn. So I think I'm going to add one more little layer. So that would have took it to about 5 or 6 layers, I think. So for my last one, I'm just going to do the same and get this as stuck down as possible. Liquid latex is like one of the easiest special effects things I think to get your start with, because it's so easy to manipulate, because it takes that wee bit longer to dry, so you can kind of mould it to the shape that you're wanting. So again, I'm just going to smooth out these wee bits so it blends more into my skin. I don't want it all over my forehead. So I'm just going to wait for this to dry. One way to dry it like really quickly is obviously just to get a hairdryer and like go at it. But I'm just going to, it's quite late at night here, like when I'm filming, so I'm just going to leave it for a wee bit, but I'll be back in a minute. So this is pretty much dried. To dry it I just had like a book thing, like a bit of paper, and was just, you know, fanning it. So I'm going to go in with this translucent powder. So this is the translucent powder from Revolution, and just set the whole thing. So this just kind of gets rid of some of like the shininess of it, and it just makes it a lot nicer. So it blends in with my skin. I'm going to go in with this Conceal and Define foundation from Revolution, and just pop this on top. Obviously normally when you would be doing this you would put foundation on your whole face, but I'm going to be doing a couple more looks, like a couple more kind of basic things after this, so I'm just going to put it around my forehead and not all over it. So I've just put on like a kind of generous amount of it, and I'm just going to blend it in with a normal foundation brush. So even like though I've not put it all, like the foundation all over my forehead, it still kind of blends in a little bit, but I can still see some yellow from the latex under, so I'm just going to put a little bit more on. So see how it's kind of blended in with my forehead. So what I'm going to do now is with my spatula, I'm just going to kind of get underneath the latex at the edges and just peel them off really carefully, just so I'm not ripping it or anything. I should probably set my foundation first, so 2 seconds. So I've set my foundation. So yeah, just I'm trying my hardest not to rip it in the middle or anything, and I'm just pushing my spatula down, so all the bits where it's kind of been caught in my hair and that are going to come off. See, that's kind of also why you don't want to get it caught in your hair, because it rips it all out and it gets sore. And now that I've kind of got the majority off, I'm just going to kind of turn it around and peel off. And just peel it down like that without my hair. like that. I'm just going to fold it down like that just now. I'm going to go with my red Snazaroo water activated paint, and then I'm just going to spray some water onto it like that, and I'm just going to go in with this sponge and like just mix it in until I get to the kind of like consistency that I want. So I don't want it to be too runny, but I don't want it to be too thick either, so I'm just gonna dab this in like that all around my hairline. And onto the torn bit of latex. So I'm just going up and like into my hairline and that as well, and it's okay to go like around it a wee bit just to kind of give the rest of that like a little bit of redness, but just like that. So I'm just pushing that back up just now. So I've got my black water activate paint and I've sprayed that with water using this brush that's kind of like a stippling brush. I'm gonna just dip that in like that, and I'm just gonna kind of dab that around. Like that, and then just with my sponge with the red paint on it, just go back in with some red. So it just looks a bit more like dark and not as like that kind of vivid red, it's just a bit duller. I'm gonna go in with my eyeshadow palette. So using my James Charles palette, I'm just going to go in with this kind of browny red shade here, just to add a bit of like colour to the skin, just so it doesn't look so like flat and pale. So I've just got a bit of that on my brush, and I'm just going to lightly swipe that on, just to give it like a kind of irritated look. And I'm just going to do that kind of around some of the edges as well. And then going in with a bit of a darker reddy brown, I'm going to go in with this one here. This one. That was my only issue with the James Charles palette, is that not long after I got it, the black completely like smashed. It fell out and it stained so much of my stuff. It stained a lot of the other shades, so I'm just going in with that kind of darker brown, and I'm just hitting that around the edges just to give this like skin more dimension. I'm gonna go with this really bright red here as well. I'm going in with the same finger. I'm going to ruin all my eyeshadow. I'm not very good at swatching stuff. And just lightly put that over the outer edges. That looks okay. So I'm going to pull it down again. So I've only done that, also I know this is going to be down like the majority of the time, but just in case it like folds up or whatever. And I'm gonna go in with some, I'm gonna go in with some Scab Wood first. So I'm gonna go in with my spatula actually. So this is like the texture. I don't know how well it's gonna come up on the camera. It's not focusing. This is like the texture of the Scab Wood, so it isn't great. It's quite dry. I wonder if I add water. No, it's just made the water red. It has not changed anything. If anything, I've probably made it worse. So I'm just gonna put bits of the Scab Wood. See, yeah, because I've added water, I've just ruined it. So yeah, don't add water, but I've just kind of scooped out a wee bit with my spatula, and I'm just gonna press that in to parts of the like muscle or skin underneath or on top of the skull. So I don't want it to be all clumped together, so I'm just going to try my hardest to kind of spread it out. But this really isn't the best quality, so I'm just kind of going in with the tip and the side of this just to kind of manipulate it and manoeuvre it about. I don't think that looks too bad. And I'm going to put a tiny wee bit onto this part of the look, and just again using like the side of the spatula, just kind of in the corners, just like move it and manipulate it to look the way that I want it to. The kind of thing that I have just learned with special effects makeup over the past 2 years, 3 years, is that you just kind of have to, well, trial and error is like a big one, and then just kind of like see how it goes. It doesn't always go well, but that's okay. So again, I just want it to move out a wee bit because I don't want it to be all focused in the centre, because that's not realistic. Oops, daisy. I think that looks alright. And as just a quick finishing touch, I'm gonna add some fake blood. So I don't like to pour it out or pour it on. What I like to do is I like to get a brush or like a makeup brush or a paintbrush with a long end, like this one, and just dunk it in like that, and then just kind of wipe it just around the area. I find it to be the easiest way to do stuff with a little mess, because this does stain and my makeup table is white and I just don't want to deal with that. But yeah, so this just makes it look that like a wee bit more realistic and gory. And if you've got like a lot on the brush, I like to kind of let it drip. But yeah, so a little reveal. So that is a nice peeled skin look. So you can see my wee bit of skin there. I think it looks quite cool. So I don't really do this type of stuff often, but I think it looks really smart. So this would be like a really nice, like easy Halloween look, especially if you wanted to like do a kind of full glam, and then just this, because it adds that wee bit of like gore and horror whilst also looking your best. But yeah, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So the last thing I think I'm going to do is just a simple cut. Kind of the easiest thing you could learn with SFX stuff, and it's the most useful one I feel, because like you can, once you kind of know the basics of doing like a cut, you can kind of do the majority stuff. Like I have a tutorial on my channel already, which I'll put in the description, of like the Joker smile or the Glasgow smile, whatever you want to call it. I have a bullet wound one as well, which I'll put in the description. Kind of once you learn how to do a cut, you can kind of do all of it. So I'm just gonna dip this paintbrush into my liquid latex. and just draw where I want the cut to be. So I'm going to do a big one on my cheek just so I can show it to you. So once I've got that set on there, I'm just going to put down some tissue paper again. And just press that in, and then again go over the top. And just smooth that in, and again with my spatula I'm just going to kind of blend in the edges a little bit. A metal spatula again would be way better for this, but I just haven't got one. And I'm just going to start layering some paper onto this. So I'm just pushing that down, and then again going in with some latex and just patting that on to there quite gently, because I don't want to pull the paper or rip it. But I'm just covering all this again. So again, like, I'm obviously not fully qualified for this and I've not had any real training. So everything that I've done is kind of self-taught and like my own methods of doing stuff. But it's all seemed to work out pretty well. I think I'm going to do maybe 3 or 4 more layers of this. Maybe not, maybe 2 or 3 after this one. That is the exact same number. The kind of more layers I put, the more I'm trying to focus them into the middle, just so it doesn't look too detached from my actual skin. Because obviously the whole point is for it to look realistic. I would like to get like real training and stuff like this, because I would love to work on horror films. I think that'd be the best. Like, I'm not the best at watching horror films, but I can appreciate a good horror film. I wish I could. I wish I was good at watching them, but I can't even watch them on my own. I'm scared of clowns. And so when American Horror Story Freak Show came out, me and my sister started watching it. And then she moved out halfway through the season and I couldn't watch it because I was too scared to watch it alone. So I just ignored that season altogether until I started going out with my boyfriend and finally convinced him to watch American Horror Story with me, and we got to that season. So it must have been like 4 or 5 years after it came out when I first saw it, and it wasn't even that scary. And it was the same thing. Like, I love the new It films, I think they're so good, but I can't watch them alone because I get too scared. And when I was at the cinema to see the first one, I thought I was going to faint at one point, and they're not even scary. Like, compared to what everyone else is, they're not even scary, so. But I think this is all I'm going to do just now. So I'm going to leave this to dry, and then I'll be back again. So that's it, kind of mostly dried. So I'm just going to powder it quickly. And then again, just go over it with this Conceal and Define foundation. So I'm just blending that into my actual skin. Normally I would actually use some nail scissors for this, but I can't find them anywhere. I should have probably looked for them before I started filming. But, so I'm just gonna kind of pick at this. So this bit you really need to be careful for. Because you can hurt yourself doing this. But dry. Ah, see, I found a wee hole. So I'm just gonna kind of make a line in it and just kind of pull at the line. Just like that. I'm just going to try and make a quick line up the way as well. It's not fully dried, so that's my own fault for not making sure it was fully dried, but it has kind of helped. Oh. So this isn't going to be a kind of small cut. This is going to be kind of a big one. So I'm also just kind of ripping. No, again, normally I would use nail scissors to make it nicer, but I'm just kind of ripping the kind of excess off, just so you can actually see inside where the wound is going to be. So I'm going to go in with this SFX palette again, and there is a nice black cream paint here. I'm going to go in with this brush here, so just get in there. So to get like fully in it all on that, I'm pulling up the wee bits of like this latex, just to make sure I'm getting every possible bit that can be seen covered, just like that. So it obviously looks really stupid just now, but it'll look better soon. So to kind of make it less black, I'm going to go with this dark red here, this one, and I'm just going to go with the other side of this brush. Thingy that in there, and then get that onto these bits of like the latex as well, like that. So like if you pulled it up, it looks as though it's like lifted skin, and then I'm just putting that on top of the black as well to make it look, again, like kind of bloody and not just dark like that. So it looks more like blood and like a cut. So I'm gonna go in with that red again and just kind of dab it on the outer bits of the cut. Just so they look irritated and a little bit bloody as well, just like that. And then I'm gonna go in with this sponge and this kind of darker nude shade here. So it's just it's a bit darker than my actual skin colour, and I'm just gonna dab that around where the cut is, just to make the skin like kind of red and raw, like irritated. Okay, this would be better with like a smaller sponge, so one of those little triangle ones, which I think are really good to have in your kit anyway. So to like set it and add a little bit more irritation stuff to the skin, I'm going back in with my James Charles palette. I'm going to go in with this dark browny red again. I don't know how well you can see that, but that, just kind of lightly smoke that around the cut. So it kind of just sets it all and makes it all irritated like that. And then I'm gonna go in with this brown. My pinky's not long enough, but that's what it looks like. And just smoke that a bit more out so that the red kind of blends out a little bit. So I haven't put this bit down enough, which is my own fault, but also you just need to make sure every bit of like toilet paper, tissue paper or cotton pads, cotton balls that you've stuck down is fully stuck down. That's my own fault. I'm going to add again some Scab Wood. So going in with my spatula and get some out on my spatula and just press it in to my wound without taking off the hard work I've already done. See, this is my issue with this Scab Wood. I really need a better quality one. So if anyone has any recommendations that aren't too costly, I'd love to know. So if you have any better recommendations, if you can put them in the comments, I would love that so much. So I'm just going to add a wee bit kind of more out. Oh god. So I am finding that using the kind of edge, it does help a wee bit. So I'm just using the edge like that and just moving it around. But I feel like it looks quite good right now. I'm just going to do the same thing I did with the blood for this one, which is completely dried up now. I'm just going to stick the end of this into this. Like that. And just, oh, I do not know where that fell. Oh, it fell into this, it's fine. But just stick this in the cut. So, because this, I want this to look like new, I'm going to put quite a lot of fake blood in and around it. So already it looks better. I'm just going to put it around the edges. And put kind of splotches around the rest of it. So I'm just kind of dabbing this wherever. Oops. Just like that. So that's all it looks like now. And it's just a really easy way to get a cut. Obviously if you kind of made a mistake, it's so easy to just add fake blood to make it look better. And then this, I'm going to add the fake blood back to this one. And so yeah, this is that one as well, the kind of, it's not focusing very well, but this one, there. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know that there's like loads of special effects tutorials and that up on YouTube now, so if you've watched mine, I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video, you could watch some more special effects makeup looks that I've got on my channel. I'll link a couple of them down below. I'll link the bullet wound one and the Glasgow Smile one down below. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you could like the video and subscribe or even comment, that would really mean the world to me, and I'd appreciate it so much. If you do subscribe, thank you, welcome. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.